Ryan Clark versus RG3 battle.
He does understand hate because I think he also understands the hate of self.
Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark.
I think she just hates the fact that she doesn't have the spotlight.
Ryan, you attacked me and my family in a public forum.
How dare you speak for black women everywhere?
Man.
Now allow me to speak for black women everywhere as Ryan Clark.
RG3 put out a tweet saying, I know what hatred looks like. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. Not basketball rivalry hate, real hate.
You're not going to believe how far this just went. What started as a hard foul in a WNBA game has now exploded into a full-blown media war. And at the center of it all, Ryan Clark. The former NFL star turned ESPN analyst just took a personal shot at fellow broadcaster RG3, all because he dared to defend Caitlin Clark.
The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what black women have to endure in this country, about what young black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise.
This crazy Ryan Clark versus RG3 battle has turned into a Rorschach test.
It's led to a very public and a very personal spat between two former NFL players who are currently in the media.
That worked together
at one point at ESPN. It all started when RG3.
And the twist? It's not just about basketball anymore. It's about race, relationships, and reputations. Did Ryan Clark really go too far? Or is there more to this story than meets the eye? Let's break it all down right now. It all started with a routine WNBA matchup between Caitlin Clark's Indiana Fever and Angel Reese's Chicago Sky. But what happened on the court was anything but routine.
Racist dumbasses over a foul in a WNBA game. They cry wolf left and right.
It was a flagrant foul called on Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese and Aaliyah Boston assessed a technical foul.
During the game, Caitlin Clark attempted a fast break after a rebound. Angel Reese, trailing the play, committed what many call a standard take foul, a strategic move to prevent an easy basket. Clark went down, and Reese was hit with a flagrant foul. But the moment that should have ended, there quickly spiraled into something much bigger.
Angel Reese is lined up. She is going for a rebound, and she double hand shoves a player on Caitlin Clark's team forward out of the frame, right? Out of the video frame. It is a clear foul on the rebound. Caitlin Clark comes in. I don't even think it was close to a flagrant foul, frankly. Comes in, slaps the hand, slaps the ball. It was a foul. Very common foul. A foul that takes place in basketball probably thousands of times every day all over the country.
Instead of walking away, Angel Reese immediately got up and charged toward Caitlin Clark. Cameras caught the tension, the fire in her eyes, and it wasn't just frustration. It looked personal. The intensity, the body language, the energy, all of it led fans and analysts to ask, was this just basketball or something deeper?
RG3 put out a tweet saying, I know what hatred looks like. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. Not basketball rivalry hate, real hate.
Then RG3, Robert Griffin 3, entered the chat. In a tweet that shook the internet, RG3 said, I know what hatred looks like. Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. Not basketball rivalry hate, real hate. That take lit the fuse.
It was a foul, very common foul, a foul that takes place in basketball probably thousands of times every day all over the country. I've never seen somebody react to a wide open layup foul where the hands were hacked by doing what Angel Reese did. And RG3 tries to get in her head and says the only thing he can think is that she just hates Caitlin Clark.
Some agreed, saying the aggression felt excessive for a foul that happens thousands of times in a season. Others said RG3 crossed a line by calling it hate. Still, his words raised an uncomfortable but honest question. Is there something more emotional behind Angel Reese's reaction to Caitlin Clark? But it wasn't just the public who took notice. Ryan Clark heard it too. And instead of challenging the opinion, he went straight for the man's personal life. When RG3 made his statement, calling Angel Reese's actions real hate toward Caitlin Clark, the reaction from ESPN analyst and former NFL player Ryan Clark wasn't just critical, it was personal. deeply personal.
For his absurd comments on RG3's family while taking issue with RG3's analysis of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Instead of responding to the basketball analysis, Ryan Clark took a sharp detour right into RG3's family life. On the Pivot podcast, Clark didn't just disagree with RG3's opinion, he questioned his right to have it. Here's what Clark said. The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at home about what black women have to endure, because in both of his marriages, he's been married to white women.
The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what black women have to endure in this country, about what young black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise. It's led to a very public and a very personal spat between two former NFL players who are currently in the media.
That worked together.
That worked together at one point at ESPN. It all started when RG3...
Let that sink in. Ryan Clark publicly implied that because RG3 married white women, he is incapable of understanding or commenting on the experiences of black women like Angel Reese. In Clark's view, RG3's household disqualifies him from even having an opinion on the situation.
You've had a conversation about what she's dealing with. You haven't been able to do that because in both of your marriages, you've been married to white women. You haven't had opportunities to have those conversations to educate you on what they're feeling, what black women deal with, what they're seeing when they think of a young Angel Reese. And the whole time that he's mimicking Angel Reese and bobbing his head and moving his neck while he's doing this whole piece, his wife is in the back amening and clapping.
This wasn't just a disagreement. This was a character attack. Clark didn't stop there. He painted RG3's take as part of a larger, more dangerous narrative, one that props up white women like Caitlin Clark at the expense of black athletes like Angel Reese. According to Clark, RG3 wasn't just analyzing a game, he was contributing to the villainization of a young black woman. But here's the catch, the hypocrisy. Because soon after, multiple former NFL players came forward claiming that Ryan Clark himself has a white baby mama.
Is that Ryan Clark, who was standing up for black women everywhere and taking, you know, from what RG3 says, shots at his white wife.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Clark, one of his baby mamas, is white.
So that was the bombshell that
was
nobody
a bombshell
knew.
that dropped
Is this
on
confirmed?
Tuesday.
Do we
it
know
has
this?
not been confirmed
No,
by
but
anybody.
this is
But
being-
there's several
Right.
NFL players who are speaking it as if it's fact.
That revelation hit hard. It raised a massive question. If RG3 can't speak on black women because of who he married, how does Ryan Clark justify speaking on behalf of black women while having a white co-parent? The internet exploded. Critics accused Clark of pushing identity politics too far, turning sports commentary into a racial purity test, and dragging personal lives into a public feud. And more than anything, they called it selective outrage, a way to silence someone by questioning their personal choices, rather than debating their actual point. Meanwhile, RG3 wasn't staying silent, and what came next made things even more personal, even more intense.
Ryan, you crossed the line, man. You made it personal and some. I really believe there should be no space in sports media for personal attacks. I've said it before, but certainly personal attacks against wife and children have always been off limits. Ryan, you attacked me and my family in a public forum on a level that shows just how low of a human being you are.
The moment Ryan Clark brought RG3's wife into the conversation, everything changed. This wasn't just a disagreement over basketball anymore. It became personal, it became emotional, and for RG3, it crossed a line that should have never been touched.
Every black woman should be pissed off right now. No one even wants to talk about. I wonder how does Sid Colson and Breonna Turner and Kelsey Mitchell
For his absurd comments on RG3's family while taking issue with RG3's analysis of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Robert Griffin III didn't waste time responding. In a calm but firm video and a series of tweets, he made his feelings clear. This wasn't just about analysis or opinion. Ryan Clark, in his eyes, had attacked his family, and that made it deeply personal. He explained that bringing up someone's wife and questioning their ability to speak based on their marriage wasn't just unprofessional, it was disrespectful.
We moved in to being able to read the expressions of a person and know their intent, know their character, know their perspective. but he does understand hate because I think he also understands the hate of self. When you look at the play, which is all we can speak to as professionals, all we can speak to as analysts, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. Caitlin Clark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball.
RG3 looked into the camera and said Ryan didn't just step over the line, he sprinted past it. But Ryan Clark wasn't done. He fired back on social media, not with an apology, but with more heat. He accused RG3 of being fake, of being one of the worst teammates he'd ever had, both on the field and in the studio.
There's a line you don't cross in life, and Ryan Clark sprinted past it. Didn't like my take on Angel Reese, so he brought up my wife and her skin color, obviously crossing a line. Ryan Clark is not going to take that line down, though, either.
Oh, my.
Because then he responds, and this made it obviously the most personal attack of all. Bruh, you know what it is with me and you. I saved you the entire season on Monday Night Football back at ESPN. I urge people to let you be you. No matter how corny, how bad of a teammate you were, I had your back.
Clark claimed he had carried RG3 through an entire NFL season at ESPN, protecting him, only to be repaid with what he called betrayal. It was no longer a debate, it was a grudge match. The drama didn't end there. Other former NFL players began weighing in, and the feud exploded beyond just two men. Marcellus Wiley, Le'Veon Bell, Des Bryant all jumped into the conversation. But then came a revelation that flipped the whole controversy on its head. Ryan Clark, the same man who criticized RG3 for being married to a white woman, reportedly had a white baby mama himself.
Is that Ryan Clark, who was standing up for black women everywhere and taking, from what RG3 says, shots at his white wife. Ryan Clark, one of his baby mamas, is white.
So that was the bombshell that
was
nobody
a bombshell
knew.
that dropped
Is this
on
confirmed?
Tuesday.
Do we
It
know
has
this?
not been confirmed
No,
by
but
anybody.
this is
But
being-
there's several
Right.
NFL players who are speaking it as if it's fact.
That hypocrisy didn't sit well with the public. Social media lit up with outrage. People questioned how someone could shame another man's marriage while having a similar personal history. The outrage was raw, loud, and impossible to ignore. Suddenly, the focus wasn't on RG3's opinion or Angel Reese's foul.
Angel Reese is lined up. She is going for a rebound, and she double hand shoves a player on Caitlin Clark's team forward out of the frame, right? Out of the video frame. It is a clear foul on the rebound. Caitlin Clark comes in. I don't even think it was close to a flagrant foul, frankly. Comes in, slaps the hand, slaps the ball. It was a foul. Very common foul. A foul that takes place in basketball probably thousands of times every day all over the country.
It was on Ryan Clark's credibility. And yet, through all of this chaos, ESPN remained silent. No statements, no accountability. Just quiet observation as two of their former players turned analysts tore each other apart in front of millions. That silence spoke volumes. To many, it confirmed what they already suspected, that there's a double standard in sports media, that personal attacks are tolerated when they align with certain narratives. That respect is conditional. This entire feud had started with a single foul in a WNBA game, but by now it had nothing to do with basketball. It was about race, respect, and hypocrisy. It was about two black men in media, once teammates, now bitter enemies, clashing over who has the right to speak, to represent, and to be heard.
The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what black women have to endure in this country, about what young black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of Caitlin Clark's rise.
This crazy Ryan Clark versus RG3 battle has turned into a Rorschach test.
It's led to a very public and a very personal spat between two former NFL players who are currently in the media.
That worked together.
That worked together at one point at ESPN. It all started when RG3.
So where was this type of reaction last year when Angel Reese got chokeslammed by Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese?
And at the center of it all stood Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, now merely symbols in a much bigger, messier war. What started as a foul on the court turned into something much bigger. A national conversation, a personal feud, and a spotlight on the media's double standards. Ryan Clark took a stance. RG3 pushed back, and somewhere in the middle, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese became lightning rods for a debate that had little to do with basketball and everything to do with race, identity, and respect. This isn't just about who was right or wrong. It's about the lines we cross when opinions get personal and the silence that follows when powerful platforms choose not to speak. So now it's your turn. Do you think Ryan Clark went too far? Was RG3 simply speaking the truth? Or is this whole situation proof that sports media has lost the plot? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, and if you want more breakdowns on the stories the mainstream won't touch, hit that subscribe button, because we're just getting started.